Hello again, and bonjour, and bom dia, and buenos dias or buenos noches, wherever you are, however it is for you. This is Chopping It Up with Ngaio, brought to you by juicyfields.io. Juicy Fields, a way to invest in the cannabis industry, the global cannabis industry, I might add, from all over wherever you are. The premise of this show is I call my homies and we fucking chop it up. And that's just how it goes. And today I'm honored and blessed and graced by the presence of maybe the biggest weed nerd in the world, perhaps. He's also got a lot of other interests and talents and things, but he's written a variety of books on cannabis, and he works for what are you now? The senior vice president, the CEO,
No, I'm
the
the
head of flavor,
chief product officer for Perfect Herbal Blends.
chief product officer for Perfect
Yep.
Herbal Blends. That sounds like a dream job. So you just sit around blending weed
Yep.
and they pay you money.
Salads.
Salads, man. Listen, the salad joint is making a comeback, right? Everybody's always on the very strange specific. Oh, I only smoke train wreck. I only smoke cookies. I like gelato. Blah blah blah. But people are starting to mix it, and not just mix it because it's not like if you smoke a dime, I'll smoke a dime, right? Like I got a nug, you got a nug, he's got a nug, then we all roll a blunt. But it's very more specific. Like I'm mixing this Blue Dream with a little hint of my Jack Herer because I want to be a little upper, but not super sativa y. Is that a word? Sativa esque, sativa ish. But kind of, I want to be awake, but still smoothed out. Is the thing.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that for me, before I did this, I was working with this breeding program for 5 years, and I love cannabis breeding. I think it's amazing, and it just shows you the incredible range of chemistry that the plant is capable of producing, and many of these compounds impact the psychoactivity we experience. But breeding is slow, man. I mean, it's really slow. You want to stabilize a variety, it can take 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And you got to make sure it isn't one of these things that's going to go hermy, yada yada yada. And but blending, they do it in scotch, they do it in coffee, they do it in tea.
You do it with wine.
They do it with wine.
They do it with perfumes.
Yeah. And so the thing about it is that I think that there is a future in cannabis blending, and I think that Perfect is getting out in front of it. We've spent a lot of time on it, and and there's a lot of intent. There are also a lot of I think the best way to say is just serendipity. You just get the right things in the right place, right time, and that's been a lot of fun, a lot of lab work.
When you're blending, like I know if you're blending wine, you're generally blending for flavor, right? You're not really blending for ABV or alcohol content. You're just like, this wine is a little too dry. We want to add a little sweetness to it, or we want to add a little something, a little more berries, maybe a little more earth. When you're blending your cannabises together, are you doing it mostly for flavor, or are you doing it mostly for effects? Although with the terpenes, the flavors are the effects.
Right. So I think both. I think that the big thing, I mean, Happy Camper is a perfect example. Giggle weed is really hard to find, and we all remember those varieties that were giggle weeds. My kind of benchmark is a train wreck pheno that's floating around for a while called Plain Wreck. And I think one of the first places I ever got Plain Wreck was from you at LAPCG.
Okay.
And
I'll take credit, sure.
And that just made everything hilarious. And I think that what I tried to do with Happy Camper is kind of recreate the cannabis that I remember as creating the most enjoyable effect, and it just made everything silly.
We should do a Happy Camper comedy show, because I do a lot of shows for cannabis groups, and sometimes it's great, and sometimes everybody is just high, and it takes a good 10 to 20 seconds for the joke to register, and then they go,
yeah,
but they don't really giggle like you want them to sometimes.
Yeah, you want people to have access to their cognition.
Yes, and to lose control.
We've all stood around and watched people dab, and you can just basically watch the responsiveness decline.
Whenever whenever I'm at a festival or something and people are like, "Hey man, you want to do a dab?" I'm like, "I would, but they're paying me to be witty." I can't.
Yeah.
If I do a dab, I'm just gonna sit in the back
Right.
and be mildly telepathic.
Pointing your my foot.
Yeah, right. Welcome to the whatever event we're at right now. Who's got snacks? That's like that's what happens to me on dabs. I just get so quiet. I mean, I like them. I like to be quiet sometimes, but
Yeah,
generally not when I'm at a gig.
Actually, I just watched too many people like take their first dab and followed immediately by a face plant. Yeah.
You have to be careful with the dabs, man. It's a strong brew. It's a powerful. Let's talk about this. You know, we're not just going to talk about weed, by the way. I know, although you and I can nerd out about weed constantly all the time, but let's talk about some other stuff too. But first, I want to get this on record because I feel like we are of the same mind on this. High THC does not automatically equate to quality cannabis.
Well, and I tested that. So I've actually gone out and kind of played around with it because the way we make the products at Perfect, I basically deconstruct the cannabis plant and put it back together. So what we do is we take half the crop of the varieties that we've chosen to blend, and we fresh freeze them, and we do a live resin extraction. And then the other stuff we dry. But in that live resin, we grow the THCA crystals out. So now I end up with high terpene extract, THCA crystals, and chopped dried flower. And I can put them together in different ratios. So I can start with hemp flower and use high THC live resin. And then what happens, it's interesting, is I can get very low THC products that are very high in terpenes. And what's fascinating is people can't tell the difference between a 15% THCA joint and a 25% THCA joint, as long as the terpene fraction remains the same.
I keep telling people. They probably
And
can't tell the difference because they'll be like, "Well, that weed made me giggly, and that weed made me a little paranoid." Because too much THC, as we know, can lead to anxiety and panicking.
right, and the thing is that that's a trick. I think I shared that with you a while ago. That's the trick of if you pre-treat yourself with CBD, that never happens.
I do that before I go to festivals now because I don't smoke as much weed. I mean, I still smoke a lot of weed compared to the average person, but I don't smoke as much weed as I used to. But then when you go to festivals and stuff, everybody wants to smoke you out, and I want to taste all the flavors anyway. I just want to try the flavor and see what it tastes like. So I definitely tend to pre-treat myself with a little CBD before I go in, so I don't get uncomfortably
Like a
high.
seat belt. You can race your Ferrari,
Right.
strap up.
Wear a helmet. It's like a condom for your brain. Practice safe weed,
Yeah,
everybody.
exactly.
Don't share joints with people.
Exactly.
Now, you and I met Silver Lake, California. I was looking to rent an apartment with my homeboy Don Duncan, or a house rather, and we rented your place. And I remember you had the volcano on the couch, and then we became homies. And you've written, like, you used to write movies or for movies or did movies or TV. You were working on a
Yeah, I
treatment
worked in film business for a long time. I did visual effects and I wrote scripts and yeah, anything that they'd write a check, I yes, happy to do. Yeah, and learned a lot. I mean, it's really interesting too because I viewed to some degree the cannabis business as the entertainment business.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
Cannabis is supposed to be entertaining, and especially these days, everybody's got to have a backstory. You got to have an angle. Like, these are specially scientifically developed blends, or my grandmother smuggled these seeds in her butt from Thailand in 1978, and we've kept this line growing in our Mendocino County farmhouse for 50 years, and we're just getting into it or whatever. And who wants boring weed anyway? Do you smoke boring weed?
No, I mean, I like stuff with a story. I mean, when I had my dispensary in LA,
Which was maybe the
inspired.
best dispensary in LA, by the way, especially for the weed nerd heads. You guys did it. You guys did it right.
We were just really into it, and yeah, we were just really into it. We were just looking for the best stuff, and
Yeah.
that was the game. And I was really fortunate to meet a lot of really talented cultivators. And yeah, and that to me is, I love the stories. I love figuring out the kind of lineage of these different varieties of cannabis and the nuances and the effects, because I think they really are there. I think that the one thing that blending has taught me is that these terpenes are phenomenally synergistic and psychoactive, and I think we're going to see more proof of that shortly.
You mean just like scientifically? You think how many years
Yeah,
away
Johns
do you think
Hopkins.
we are from where the doc you go to the doctor and you go, I'm blah 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 blah, and they'll be like, well, you need a little more pinene in your life, or maybe try some
I don't know if you'll
merciline
go to the
or some
doctor. I mean,
osamine.
yeah, sure. If you're going to use it medically, yeah, you might go to the doctor. But the truth is, you're going to go to the equivalent of a wine store and say, I like this, this, and this. And they'll say, oh, try this.
We kind of do that now. I mean, when I was a bud tender, people would come in all the time and be like, "I want something that'll make me feel like this," or "I want something that'll make me horny," or "I want something that'll give me." Everyone wants the giggle weed that won't make me sleepy, that makes me feel kind of goofy, or things like
Yeah.
that.
And I mean, I think that the nice thing, the
And
problem,
that was before terpenes. You just had to be like, this one makes me giggle. You can try it.
right. The big thing is consistency. And that's what I try to address with my company. The worst thing that could happen to a cannabis customer is that they walk in to a shop and they fall in love with a variety of cannabis. And then you either can't get it again, or suddenly there's crop to crop variation. And what it did that one time, it never does again. And you lose all your cred with your customers really fast
Yeah.
when you can't either replace it or recreate it.
And it can be tricky too, because you can give two growers the same cut and get almost two different kinds of finished cannabis flower back.
No question.
Depending on the way they grow it, and
Yeah, and the epigenetic factors. In other words, what's the microbiome on the plant?
Say it again. I love when you talk like that. The epigenetic microbiome. Ooh,
Yeah, there you go.
it's so hot.
But yeah, these things are very complex. That's why wines have vintages, because the environmental inputs and the terroir and all these things combine to make the wine different every year.
That's one of the challenges that they've been having in Germany with their medical cannabis thing, is because the Germans, of course, want it to be very cut and dried. If you have this, then you smoke this, or if you have this, then you smoke this. But like you say, it could be the effects from the same strain from two different people, or even from the same people but different environmental factors, and then all of a sudden the weed is it hits different, as the kids say.
Yeah, and so that's the crux. That's what I'm trying to do in this company. What I'm trying to do is, when you buy a Coca-Cola in LA and a Coca-Cola in New York, they taste the same. Okay, when you get a bottle of Johnny Walker in England, or a bottle of Johnny Walker here, they're the same. And I think I would love consistency with my cannabis products, and that's what I'm trying to develop.
But is there a the challenges, I think, that are in this burgeoning cannabis?
No. I agree, except that there are certain effects from cannabis that I want to get in that silo of effects. I want to get in that range. Chemistry and their own response curve. And it's got a trajectory that they like. And the thing is, what we found is, what we kind of marked off for Perfect was these, my partner, Dean Hollander, had this idea for, what if there was a cannabis inhalable flower product called Happy Camper, and one called Pick Me Up, and one called Nightcap. And they actually did precisely what was on the label. And of course, I raised my hand and go, oh yeah, I can do that. Hell, I've been making salad since on time. And what was funny was, I made these test blends and I gave them to people, and they said, oh, these are fantastic. And then I'd get the lab results and go, this is all placebo effect.
Yeah.
What happened was, when I was grinding the flour to blend it initially, before I started using live resin, the act of grinding flour liberates all the monoterpenes, all the light terpenes, the ones like limonene and myrcene and pinene, the ones we really, really like.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And the
And they
reason
evaporate faster.
the reason the pre-roll factories smell so good is all the terpenes are in the air rather than in the product. And
say that again for the people who just tuned in.
So the reason that pre-roll factories smell so good is all the terpenes are in the air rather than in the product.
Yeah.
And so I had to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to blend and keep what I wanted around. Some terpenes like beta caryophyllene or cannabinoids, you can't kill them. Okay, they're gonna be there till the end of time. Funny story about that. If you read descriptions of weed from back in the day, like Panama Red and
Mhm.
Colombian Gold,
Mhm.
you'll always hear this. It had an incredible peppery scent.
Yes,
well, it probably
beta caryophyllene, yeah.
Yeah, but it probably didn't when it was in Colombia or Panama. But by the time it had been smuggled, all that was left was the beta caryophyllene.
Huh.
So yeah, I mean, you spend weeks, in bales in the back of trucks or planes or
pressed into a brick.
Exactly. You lose all that stuff. And I think that what I wanted, my ideal, is how cannabis tastes in the curing room. When something is like peak ripeness, super fresh, crazy sticky, and you break that bud up, and that smoke is so aromatic.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's hard to get that in a pre-roll because, especially in California too, right? So then you buy your pounds, then you grind them up, you send them off for testing, then you roll the joints, and by that time, that weed's been sitting out open, and by the time the pre-roll gets to the consumer, a lot of those light terpenes, as you say, have evaporated.
Right.
And
so
you're getting a whole different joint.
That's what we do different.
Did you put yours in the refrigerator?
We refrigerate ours, but also we take that snapshot, that terpene snapshot, by doing a live resin extraction. So we get all of those goodies, all right? And we combine them back with the dried flower. So we get the flower back to the level of terpenes it was in the field.
Well, let me ask you about that, though, because, as a person who's half hippie, the other half is Panther, of course. Sometimes I feel weird about this scientific approach, especially when it comes to vape carts, because like you say, they're not all the time just like pressing the live resin and putting it in a cart, right? You press out the resin, then you add a little of this, you add a little of that, you throw in some other terpenes, blah, 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 blah. Is it still weed? Right? So you take a live resin, then you take some cannabis flowers, and you do the thing. It's not what we would traditionally call a joint.
No, actually that's not true. And the reason is I made hash joints and resin joints forever.
Yes.
I love them because one thing, you can increase the potency on both the terp and the cannabinoid front. And I think actually, and if you go to Europe, I mean, they mix it with tobacco, which to me is kind of disgusting. But the thing is that you often see these hash joints because the resin adds flavor. And I think I love them. I think it's one of the most natural expressions of cannabis to mix high quality extracts. Now, when it comes to vape carts, I'm a little on the fence. And the reason that my company doesn't make them is they're insanely unstable. And so what happens is
insanely unstable.
Incredible. And so what happens is you put
like dating a Leo
in these cartridges and they break down really fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've all had that kind of funny, funky, vinegary weirdness that comes from something that's been sitting in a cart for a long time.
I got to be honest, I hardly ever vape. I mean, maybe if I'm at the casino, but I'm kind of team flower for life.
And,
I don't mind a little resin every once in a while.
It's insanely
and when I was
complex.
in Switzerland,
yeah,
I definitely did enjoy the high CBD hemp flower that you can buy at the grocery store, at the liquor store. You can go buy like beer and some high CBD hemp flowers. And then, if you sprinkle a little hash on it, that shit is pretty effective.
Exactly. So, we're doing this thing right now where we're shipping Perfect. We're doing a test right now where what I do is I do all my normal blending, except that I'm not using high THC flower.
Okay.
And we do a live resin extraction of high terp, high CBD cannabis that's hemp. And I combine all those things together, just like I'm blending high THC flower, except there is no THC. I pack that in a box and I ship it to Michigan. And in Michigan, they're doing THC extraction from live resin, and they have crystalline THCA, and they just add it to my product, and they make it a high THC product on the other end, which is the best thing ever.
So it's like you're sending them the concentrated orange juice, and they're adding the water of THC.
I'm sending them the Coke syrup, and they're adding the carbonated water.
Yeah. Wow. Now let me ask you. I guess we are just going to talk about weed the whole time. So let's get into it. First, which country is growing the best weed right now, and why is it Spain?
U.S.
Really?
I love what they're doing in Spain. They have a lot of real, you have these seed banks like Ace Seeds, and I mean, just genius seed banks.
Yeah.
But honestly, you compare it to something like the Orange Turpentine 2.
Orange Turpentine, Green Shock Farm. Shout out to my boy Mark and everybody on the Green Shock Farm. I got some in my pocket right now. I'm not bullshitting. I got some. Look. I smoke that shit all the time, dog. He grows some of the best weed in the world, so I take it all back. Mendocino County Organics for Life, bitch. Go ahead.
All right. So I mean,
I get excited. I'm so glad you shouted him out. He's my boy, dog, and he's gonna be excited.
No. I mean, and the truth is that you have these cultivators in California who've got an insane eye, just like they do for wine grapes, for flavors. That's why I love to blend in California and send stuff elsewhere, because I'm not going to get those inputs elsewhere. I'll get them here in California. And so, I mean, we, with pride, say our stuff comes from California, it's made in California.
So that's an interesting loophole that you've got around then too, because then you can actually sell weed from California in Michigan. You're just adding a little THC when it gets to Michigan.
And what's great is, honestly, you don't really, the thing we found is that high terp hemp flower blends, they are crazy psychoactive.
Right.
They're not, but they don't impair you. They're just enhance. And so I love them. I think there's a big market for these lower THC products that maintain high terpene content.
I'll come over and I'll give you a full report. If you need a junior assistant,
senior
assistant,
no.
Can I be senior VP of Chief Product Officering?
Yeah, no, I think what you need to, you need to be my Igor.
Yes, of course. What hump?
Oh, exactly.
It's Igor.
Yeah, Igor. So, but yeah, I think that's
what weed did you use on this? Abby, somebody.
Right.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I think that the future in California it's only being touched upon, because the truth is that we've been really good at finding all these flavors and stuff, but I think there's a long way to go. I think we're in the infancy of understanding how this works, and I think blending is going to be a big part of it. I think that it really, because it's not so much that it's the same thing every time, because we're using crop inputs, so there's going to be a little variation, like there, but I want to reduce the variation so I don't get disappointed. That's the important thing. All right. I don't want to spend my money on something and go, this isn't what I wanted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that blending allows me to do that. I'm really pleased.
That makes sense. That makes sense. What do you see in the in the future of the global cannabis market? Like, I mean, if you're already sending flower blends to Michigan, how far away are we from getting Moroccan hash in California, or some of these crazy Spanish?
Well, I think it's probably, I mean, the truth is, I think given the interest in hash these days, I think it's going to be made here really soon. I think that these techniques will be made here. The question is that will we have the types of cultivars that are used to make these traditional resin products?
Well, no, I'm not trying to grow Moroccan cultivars in California. I'm in the same way that you can buy French wine or Australian wine.
Right.
I would like to go to the spot and get they just
And I think
import that
it's
shit.
inevitable. It's inevitable.
Will we still be alive? Because we say inevitable, but I remember when we all thought cannabis was going to be completely legalized by Bill Clinton in 1996, and
or 76
or 76. Jimmy Carter was supposed to do it
yeah.
in 76, and here we are.
Yeah,
40
no,
something
look,
years later.
It's going to go slow, and the problem is, it's terrible. It's a terrible environment to do business in when you're. I mean, I tell people that it's easier to buy plutonium in California than Canada.
I always say that these guys are out here treating weed like it's yellow cake uranium, and there's no reason for it. It's just weed. No. But what are you gonna do? It was easier to be an outlaw sometimes.
Exactly.
Which I guess is why people become outlaws, because it's a little easier
and occasionally more fun.
And occasionally more fun. Also, listen, the weed store is not going to front you a sack until payday. Right. But the weed man might. No.
Right.
If you know the guy, I will gladly pay.
Eventually, I love the idea. I love the idea of, like, you sign for it when you go in. Not with a credit card, just you got an account like people used to have at the deli.
Right.
Pound of pastrami, pound OG.
Put it on my tab. I'll pay you at the end of the month. Or you can, like they do in the bars where you can leave your homie's name on the chalkboard. You can buy him a beer in advance, and then if he drops by the bar, then they're like, "Oh yeah, you got a beer waiting for you." I'm like, "Hey man, thanks. That'd be great." Right? People have. I think Betty White has beers waiting for her all over everywhere that she's not going to get a chance to have now, which is sad. But
sad indeed.
Maybe somebody named Betty White will just show up with an ID and be like, "I hear you have some beers for me."
Yep. Oh, you thought it was that Betty White?
Yeah, no, it just says Betty White. It doesn't. It doesn't specify. That's the loophole. That's how they get you.
Yeah, it's exciting times. I mean, you and I have watched this ride for a while now.
Yeah, for a long time. You've been in the game, what, 30 years at least?
Yeah, a long time. And the thing that's fascinating is that, honestly, it isn't always better today. There are cultivars that are no longer cultivated with this rush towards dessert strains and stuff like that. And I miss the train wrecks of the world. And those are getting increasingly hard to find.
When was the last time you saw some train wrecks? Somebody gave me last year, a homie had grown a train wreck crossed with a land race Thai sativa.
Uh-huh.
And
it's almost like a back cross, really, because there's a lot of Thai in it. Right?
Yeah. Almost like a back cross. And it's tasty and fantastic, but I only smoke it when I have a lot of shit to do.
And there's still train wreck around Berkeley and Sac.
I haven't smelled like true train wreck. Every once in a while, somebody hand me a bag and I'll be like, "Oh, is that train wreck?" And they'll be like, "Oh, it's Jack Herer," or blah 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 blah.
No, go to Weed Maps and search classic train wreck. You'll find it. LAPCG gets it.
LAPCG, my old job. They get the classic train wreck.
Yep.
What's your favorite? Classic. What's your favorite strain that you will like? What's your bucket list strain? Like, I would like an old school chocolate Thai to come back. And there's the chocolate.
Yeah, and I like chocolate Thai. For me, I like those real long flowering time hazes and Kona Gold. We're growing some. I'm involved in a dispensary on Maui, and we're growing some old Hawaiian there now. And
right, the Pakalolo, the Kona Gold.
Yeah.
You don't, with all these commercial pressures, cats don't really have time for a 16-week super haze sativa.
But I think people will pay for it. And so
people would pay for it, but it takes forever to grow. It's not a big yielder. Hey man, my investors are on my ass. They put $5 million in this thing, and we gotta, we're not getting. You're not getting 2,000 a pound like you used to. You're not even getting 1,500 a pound like you used to.
Yeah, that's short-sighted. I mean, there's Romani Conti wine out there. There's only a couple of acres of that particular plot, and
the challenge with this industry to me is people are pushing it toward the cigarette model when it should be really being pushed toward the craft brewery model. We need more Pliny the Elders and less Budweiser in our weed world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the thing is that, again, I think that the beer's a good analogy because there's just so damn many beers. Like wine's a good analogy because there's so damn many wines. The problem with beer and wine is you got to kind of be told by somebody what to drink. because it's hard to like walk into a shop and get insanely good guidance. There are specialty shops where you get great guidance, but you walk into Vaughn's, you're not going to get a lot of guidance on which Pinot to buy or which IPA to buy. I mean, it's not there. So in cannabis, what we're doing is we're really trying to educate the customers to like try to develop like, try this. If you like this, you might like this. And I think that works in wine. It's going to work in weed.
What is the best way to train these customers? Because I talk till I'm blue in the face, and I'm brown, so it takes a long time for me to get blue in the face. And people just really think that high THC is completely always the way to go. They don't give a shit about the terpenes. They're just trying to get as high.
When I was in college, people liked Everclear. You know what I mean? And it was like, hey,
but you don't drink it every day.
No kidding. But the point is that I think that education remains the biggest challenge in cannabis. Like my latest thing is that the latest research is you don't want to inhale cannabis and make that fire cone at the end of your joint, the cherry, glow white. And the reason is when you do, temperatures are so high, they break the terpenes into things you really don't want to inhale. And so my new slogan is sip, don't rip. And the reason is you get more of a terp effect, it tastes better, and you get more of the expression of the plant as opposed to incinerating it. It's like you've seen people like pack a bong and then just torch it.
Don't do that.
The truth is, it's like somebody who eats steak cooked well done.
With ketchup.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not mad at a medium well steak. You can even there's a way to make a well done steak. Don't get me started on that because I don't like my steak too rare. Medium is fine, I guess, but I don't like it too rare. I'm not trying to eat raw beef.
You want to hear it moo?
No mooing. I would like to know that my cow has been thoroughly killed and cooked to kill off all the antigens or whatever the things we're not trying to have.
But when it comes to cannabis, try the sip don't rip thing. You'll find it actually tastes a lot better.
I always tell people slow light it. Don't.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. Corner the bowl, slow light it.
Yeah.
Don't be tranquilo, amigo. Tranquilo. Right.
It's good advice for us all in these trying times.
And what's your favorite weed of all time? Besides the 16-week haze.
Wow. Big Sur Holy Weed, the real thing from Mojave, Richmond.
Which one?
Big Sur Holy Weed.
Big Sur Holy Weed.
Mojave,
I don't think
Richmond
I've ever
family.
tried Big Sur Holy Weed.
So it's got this little minty thing in it. It's unbelievable. So it has that kind of hazy thing and OG thing, and in the background, this mint flavor that's just.
So it's like myrcene, pinene, and
eugenol. No, it's probably eugenol. It's probably one of these things like you find in eucalyptus or menthol, like in mint. And it's got that. It's the
or like in diesel, because diesel gives you.
It doesn't taste like any other weed. Keep an eye out for it. They call it Zeta.
Zeta?
Yep.
Do you have any? Because I'll come down to LA right now. I'll bring you some terpentine.
Yeah,
some Zeta.
Yeah, no problem.
I got some Pog too. I got a bunch of green shock in the house right now. I got the Pog, which is that pineapple orange guava, and I got some of that orange terpentine, and I have a little bit of purple candy cane left, but you can't have that one because that's how Mark and I became friends. I was a judge at the Emerald Cup, and I smoked some of that. The purple candy cane was an entry. And it was my favorite weed. Is the one I thought should win, and I almost got in a fight about it, and it finished in like second or third place. But I made sure to find out who the grower was, and then I just introduced myself right away. Like, hi, my name's Ngaio. I'm a big fan of your weed. We're going to become friends. Here's my phone number. What's your phone number? I want to come see your farm. Can we hang out? Blah blah blah.
Don't mind the scissors.
Teach me your ways. Teach me your ways. Yeah. If someone wanted to make their own blends, since we're going to talk about this, I guess, how do you recommend they go about it?
Well, the easiest way to do it is if you have access to terp results, because that's really the easiest way to blend. And what I like to do is blend things.
But you're very scientific about things, Michael. You're definitely one of those guys where it's not like, oh, I like the way this. I mean, there's art and craft to it, sure, but you also love the numbers. You like 16% of this, 20% of that, 35% of this.
No. Hold on. If you want to do it without going to a lab, the easiest way is to pay attention to your nose and combine different aroma profiles.
There we go.
The thing that I find really interesting consistently is adding things that are different together results in something better than either one.
Sure, greater than the sum of its parts. Right.
And it really happens with cannabis. So you take a Kush that's typically LCM, limonene, myrcene, caryophyllene.
Okay.
And you combine it with something like Trainwreck or Jack that's terpinolene dominant. It's going to have a very different effect. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's great. It's like a symphony rather than a combo.
Right. Yeah, you smoke it, you'll hear giant orchestral works. Maybe
exactly.
Some Bruckner.
Yeah, some Bruckner. Always. I always hear Bruckner.
I always hear Bruckner. I mostly hear Gershwin when I'm high, actually. Very American, kind of modern. It's got a little jazzy.
But then if you combine the two, you get Bruckwin.
Yeah, Bruckwin.
There you go. Yeah.
Gershner. Exactly. He was actually my agent at William Morris for a while. Stan Gershner. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah. He's the guy who got caught stealing the chairs. Yeah, I remember that guy.
What's the one about the guy who robs the bank for $2 million and the heat is on him, and so he goes down to William Morris and he forces them to sign him to a 5-year exclusive contract, and he's never heard from again.
Yeah, it's sad but true.
It's show business.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's that's David Mamet's line. Show business is a collaborative business. Bend over.
Take one for the team. For sure. So you guys have Happy Camper, you have Nightcap, and you have Pick Me Up. Pick Me Up
is that kind of hazy. It's like a haze diesel.
Sure. It's for the executive function.
Exactly. So what happens is that it kind of throws you into hyperfocus.
Yeah.
And so, it's really funny. We used to call it accounting weed at work because people would go out after lunch, take a couple hits of Pick Me Up, come back in and spend the rest of the afternoon doing accounting and not leaving their seat.
No, totally into it. Totally into it. That's that train wreck Thai sativa thing that I have. I tell all my friends when they come over, right? Because, I'm like, which one do you want to smoke? And they'll open it and they'll smell it and be like, oh, let's smoke this one. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But just know this, in 20 minutes, you're going to stand up and start looking for shit to do. Right? And
you'll paint.
Like, no, man, it's cool.
My old line is you'll paint your house, you'll paint your friend's house.
Man, as soon as 20 minutes later, they stand up, they're like, oh, you know what? I'm supposed to go to the post office and I really have to send this email. They all just start getting their work done.
Exactly. And I was going to replace the gaskets in my engine, in my truck.
There's a lot of sock darning that I need to do. I've been
forgetting my socks. Exactly. Regrout my bathtub.
It's almost tweaker weed. I have a friend who used to be a tweaker who didn't like to smoke super sativas like that because he's like, oh no, it takes me.
How ironic is that?
Feeling kind of tweaky.
Yeah, they'd rather take the enamel off their teeth.
No, but I'm saying he quit. He quit doing speed, but he didn't want to do any speedy weeds.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because it made him feel weird. Yeah. But I only, like I said, that's for cleaning the house or doing
but I
taxes.
love it. And the truth is we have. I mean, the great thing is that it's really a great little anti-ADD herbal medicine because
self-medication.
Yeah,
you don't have to do all the Adderall, which is technically meth.
Right.
So yeah. I don't think there's a strain called weed meth. Would you guys call it speedy weed?
I don't think I'd like
go fast.
Do you have a book behind you called Warlock Holmes?
Warlock Holmes. I do have a book behind me called Warlock Holmes. It's a magical
detective story.
It could have been a little funnier, but the story itself is good and the concepts are great. I mean, if you're looking for a good book, what kind of books do you like? What are you reading right now?
What am I reading right now? I have to look at my
I've been reading a lot of John Scalzi.
I like John Scalzi. I'm reading the original version of Lawrence of Arabia's Seven Pillars of Wisdom about his campaign in Arabia. And he's a crazy good writer. I mean, just crazy good.
And it was written by Lawrence himself?
Uh-huh.
What are the seven pillars of wisdom?
Those are the
colonialism, imperialism.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Appropriation.
Clearly. Yeah. What else am I reading that I like? Oh man, I got so many books on here.
I can recommend Nnedi Okorafor. Anything by her is great.
She's a great writer.
She's a fantastic writer. And I also just read Gods of Jade and Shadow by Sylvia. It's either Moreno Garcia or Garcia Moreno. And she is an excellent writer. There was a few times in that book where I was like, oh wow, that was so well written. That was fantastic.
What else have we reading?
Are you mostly sci-fi?
Yeah. Golden Age, the sci-fi book by John C. Wright. I really loved. Amazing book.
What makes it amazing? What's the plot?
Big plot. Classic space opera. So a guy who realized in the far future, realizes and computers basically AIs and human beings coexist, and kind of your power is how powerful your AI is. And everybody basically exists as idealized virtual versions of themselves, classic kind of metaverse story. But this guy finds out that he's edited some of his memories out. Some of his memories are missing. And as he starts to find out why, he realized he removed them. And so it's a little bit like, Memento as a space opera.
I was going to say Memento. What was the Arnold Schwarzenegger on Mars one?
Total Recall.
Total Recall.
Yeah, my buddy, my former mentor, Ron Cobb, designed that movie.
Oh, no shit. Okay. All right. So what was the name of that book again?
Oh, The Golden Age.
The Golden Age.
Right. Yeah, you'll dig it.
John C. Wright.
Really smart.
Is that a recent book?
No, 10, 15 years ago.
10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's recent for books.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
And then, of course, the Gutenberg Bible, I always go back to.
Yeah, I always go back. Always go back to
to my original Gutenberg Bible. Yeah.
Do you still have one?
No, I don't.
I'm going to plan a heist film. Oh, yeah. Here's a question I ask people all the time, too. If you were in a heist film, which character would you be?
If I was in a heist film, which character would I be? I'd be the Robert De Niro guy who knows everything about how to blow up a safe by drilling a hole in the top and using water pressure.
So you're the safe cracker.
Yeah, I'd be a safe cracker. I love it, like Thief, with James Caan.
Sure.
He's got the thermic lance,
Right.
Like, and on the other hand, when I got into the cannabis business and I had to go out and buy a safe the first time, I went insane. I wanted to go buy an ISM safe, which are these Israeli safes that if you try to break into it, there's glass.
The glass shatters and the ball bearings drop.
Blocks the safe.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that kind of high end, like vault design stuff.
That goes very well with your hacker aesthetic.
Yeah.
I could see you as the hacker coder.
And the truth is, that's what I do these days. Effectively, I'm kind of hacking weed.
You're safe cracking the weed.
But I want natural inputs. I don't want to use phony baloney stuff.
Well, because that's an interesting thing too in this new market too, right? There's like terpene companies that will sell you terpenes that are not cannabis derived.
And I wouldn't have a problem with that if they were pure. But the thing is you look at the certificates of analysis that have to come with these things, and it'll say 79% mercy. Well, what's the other 21%? That's a lot.
That's a lot.
And if I was getting botanical terpenes that were like 99%, the truth is a molecule is a molecule.
That's what they say, but
the thing is that there's a big gap in a lot of these. And I think that's of concern to me.
A molecule is a molecule. I mean, but H2O and H2O2 are completely different things.
Right,
Two different molecules.
But to the point, though, which is interesting, is that the thing I love about working with cannabis inputs in our blending is they're not simple. They're super complex. They may have 25 terpene peaks in them. And these people who are, kind of reductionist and are just trying to take off the shelf terpenes and recreate Jack Herrera, it never tastes right. It tastes like, like when you get a banana flavored lollipop, it doesn't really taste like banana.
I don't like artificial banana flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Perfect example though of the fact that a synthetic just doesn't compare to the real deal.
You can't, yeah. I mean, I guess a fleshlight is cool, but it's not really my thing.
Until you really think about it. Until you really think about it.
This tastes funny.
Yeah, and then you have to be taken to the hospital because it appears you're dying of embarrassment. Yeah.
So we can go, is it perfect-blends.com?
Yeah.
What else would you like people to know?
Yeah. Well, I think that sip don't rip thing is really, if you're going to inhale cannabis, do yourself a favor and do it at the lowest temperature you can. Just like with vaping. Everybody in vaping these days, low temperature dabs, low temperature dabs, low temperature dabs.
Everybody's on the low temperature dabs.
And the thing is there's real science to support it. So what you want to do is you want to sip, don't rip. And everything's going to taste better. And my products are certainly going to taste better.
And keep your weed in the fridge?
Yeah, keep it in the vegetable drawer. It's like produce.
Yeah.
All right. Matter of fact, I'm on the Emerald Cup board. And this year we're going to do a real big push.
Hey, can you get me in to be a judge? I'm trying to be a judge again this year. Can you pull some strings?
Yeah, I can try. Sure.
Tell Tim I said hello.
Yeah, I think we already got everybody funny.
Yeah. Everybody funny, did you say? Yeah. I can be very serious. I'll be very serious.
I think after Chappelle agreed to be a judge, I think you got crossed off.
That's usually how it goes. It's like we can't get Chappelle or Doug Benson. Then
it's Ngaio Chappelle. Yeah. When I was watching Netflix last night, it was like, should I try to find the Ngaio special or should I just watch 6 Chappelle specials?
Yeah. I don't even think I have a special on Netflix. They took my show off of Netflix. It was on there for 3 years and now it's down. But I'm working on some other things. Don't worry. Good. We'll be okay.
You should. You're funny.
Oh, shit. I keep forgetting to mention. This is Chopping It Up with Ngaio, presented to you by juicyfields.io. Juicy Fields, an easy way to invest in the global cannabis industry. Check them out, juicyfields.io. I'm sitting here with Michael Backus, weed nerd, entrepreneur, chief product officer for Perfect Blends Cannabis Company. You guys are kind of nationwide, I guess, now?
Well, no, we're focused on California right now.
Okay.
We got our toe in the pool in Michigan, and we're checking out other states right now. We definitely want to be everywhere. I mean, we think we got a great product. I mean,
I've tried a couple of those Perfect Blends and they were very nice. I trust your work completely. I'm a big fan. You can't go wrong. But I'm trying to find some of this Big Sur holy weed now. You have me on a quest.
I can help you out there.
Can you help me out? You know a guy?
Yeah, I know a guy.
All right.
I know a guy. Yeah.
Well, man, I think we're running out of time, and I can't thank you enough for coming over to hang out and taking time out of your busy blending day.
For you, my friend, anytime.
Anytime. All right. Well, I'll see you at 7 o'clock.
Just like I plucked you out of the crowd and got you into the VIP line in Vegas.
Right.
I always got your back.
I appreciate you, dog.
Well, and also Chapter 2, our PR firm, had our back. That's why we were in that line in the first place.
See, that's how it works. That's how it works. If everybody had everybody's back, this world would be a better place to live.
We probably trip though, because back to back. It's a topology problem.
Back to back, belly to belly. That's an old. It's like an old, not ska, but like calypso tune, or some shit like that.
I need to listen to more calypso. I was so sad that Sidney Poitier died this week. I met him a couple times.
Did you really? Did you smoke weed with him?
What a nice. No, I never smoked weed with him. No. But had dinner.
I wonder if he smoked weed.
What a nice man. What a nice man. Yeah.
All right. Well, rest in peace, Sidney Poitier. Rest in
Yeah.
peace, Betty White, and all the other people who've passed away
And I
this
hope
week.
they're
I guess.
chopping it up in the great beyond.
I bet they're having a great time.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to have a great time here on Earth for as long as we can. And Chopping It Up with Ngaio comes to you every time we make a new episode. I think that's it, man.
I think that's it, man.
Thank you so much,
Nice
brother.
to see you as always. And,
Always a pleasure.
check out Perfect Blends.
Yes. And I'll see you at the Emerald Cup. Are you coming out to Europe for any of the international cannabis business conferences or the Spanibus or any of that stuff?
No, I think I'll stay here, but you have fun for me in Spain because that's a fun place to have fun.
Oh, God, I love Spain so much.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bring some CBD with me because that Spanish weed, they definitely like a high THC count. That shit always gets me going. All right. Okay.
See you, my friend.
Everybody go back to work. All right.
All right.
Take care. Bye.